Let's start the session. Shell scripts I kept in GitHub. Let me go to GitHub. Here I have some shell scripts, right? So let me go to repositories. Right. Let's see some conditions and see few things. Yeah, if you want to specifically learn shell scripting, there will be some material I kept here. Okay, it is at least 1 month for you to learn only shell script. Okay, so if you want to follow that, you can follow. This is the PDF. Okay, let me share the URL. Here is some examples. So let me create one EC2 instance. Launch instance. Right, I will create a shell scripting server. And t2.micro. I want to create a key pair. So I will use existing key pair, and that's it. Let me launch. Right. So let's wait for server to up and running. Then we can connect. Right. Let's connect to the server. Let's connect to it. Let's make it as a root user. Right. So here, let's install the Git to download the shell scripts. I'm install git -y. So under this shell script, I kept few more examples, right? So you can see variable dot sh. So as I said, every shell script will have the first line, shebang line, right? So this is the first line, hash exclamation slash bin bash sh, and echo is for printing the message, and read is for reading from the keyboard. Echo, right? You're trying to read it, and you're trying to read the remark as well, and you're finally calling that value using dollar, right? You're storing some value using read, and you're trying to print it using dollar remark. That means here remark is a variable. Okay, so for example, let me clone this entire repo, copy. So let me download entire git clone all the shell scripts. Right? Go to shell scripts. Right. So you have this shell script, but these all needs to be have execute permission. Chmod plus X for all the files. Right, all the files have execute permission now. Right, all the files have the execute permission now. So now let's do right now. Let's do uh, right. All the files having execute permission. Now let's do the variable file. Right, execution. To execute a shell script, you can use dot slash the shell script name. Right. So it is asking what is your name because it is trying to read from the keyboard. Right. For example, Raj. And here, how do you do Raj? Because here you mentioned like that, right? Echo, how do you do? Dollar name means whatever the name you stored in the name, right? It will be calling using dollar, right? It's a variable. And after that remark, it is waiting for the remark. You need to add a remark like good, for example, and it is printing I'm dollar remark means I uploaded I stored some good into the remark variable, so that's why it is showing good too, right? So, and we have few more examples here. So arithmetic operators. So here what we are doing, we are trying to read some values A and B from the keyboard. You're storing a value in A, you're storing a value in B, and you're trying to get addition, minus, multiplication, dividend, right, and a remainder. So here dollar, right, you can use backtick symbols. These are backtick symbols near to escape button. If you see below the escape button in your keyboard, there is a symbol called backtick. I hope you got it right. So expression is a keyword. Expr is a keyword. From that you're trying to print out the values, right? Addition, minus, multiplication, dividend, remainder, right? And you're trying to print like completed successfully. Completed successfully. So here, if you run that, it will print all the values. Just try this. Just try this as an assignment. Okay. So, and we have logical operators. Simple here. It will whenever you run this, so it will ask for the arithmetic operators, right? So, right, and you have to provide a value 2, for example, b value 4, and the addition is 6, minus is right, dividend is minus 8, multiplication is 4 to 8, and dividend the remainder is 0, and the right remainder is 2, and dividend, right, so is 0, and successfully completed, right? So like that, and we have few more examples. If you see here, logical operators. So here there are three subjects: maths, physics, chemistry. You're reading the value from the keyboard. M means maths, P means physics, C means chemistry, right? And finally, you're using if else condition. Here, your in shell scripts, few conditions are there. If else condition, right? This is one of the condition. If conditions, if fi, if one condition is there, if more, right, two conditions are if else fi is the closing, okay, right, right, if right elif fi else fi. So I will show that, okay, if you see. So if statement is for single condition, for example here, so you are trying to read a value from the keyboard. If the value is less than 10, then one message is printed. It will create some files. It will create one file abc opt file, right, using touch command, right, using touch command. So here, right here, it is trying for, right, it's trying to check for that, and uh, if the value is not less than, right, 10, right, so it is trying to, if value is not less than 10, it will skip that. Value is less than uh, 10, it is create the file. If above the 10, it will skip it. And coming to these logical operators, we are trying to get a three subject values: maths, physics, chemistry. We are using if then else if is a condition. If the if the subject marks maths is greater than 35, physics is greater than 35. Here hyphen a is a logical operator, and, right, maths greater than 35, and physics greater than 35, and chemistry greater than 35, and if all these condition is passed, that means he's passed in all the subjects. If any one of the subject is below 35, he will get a message like, sorry, you are not up to the mark. That's how it will print. For example, if you execute that, for example, maths is 28, 22, physics is 36, chemistry is 39, 38, you'll get a message, sorry, up to the mark, right? If you mention like math some 55, 44, 85, what happened? Congratulations, you are passed because the condition is matched. And this if statement is helpful for, right, creating a file if value is less than 10. If value is less about 10, it will not print anything. For example, if you see, if I put 52, simply skip, right? So if you see ls opt, there's no file called abc. If you mention some 5, what will happen? Script successfully completed a message. You can see that along with that, this abc.text will also created, right? So here, if statement is if is only one statement, if then fi is for, if then fi is for only single statement. If else fi is for, right, right. If then else fi is for two statements, right. And if you have multiple statements, you can go for like this. If you have four values a, b, c, d, four values are there. So if all the right, which one is bigger? If you want to find out which one is biggest between four digits, right? So yeah, within the hash, starting with the hash means it's a it's a readable line only, right? You're trying to get A, B, C, D, four values, right? A, B, C, D, four values, right? So right, right, four values, right? We are trying to get the four values, right? So we're trying to check if elif, elif, else, if. If you right here, here what we are doing, you have multiple conditions, one, two, three conditions. First, you are checking A with B, A with C, A with D. If A is bigger than B or C or D, that means A is big. If A is not bigger, some number will be bigger. That means this condition will skip. It will go to next condition. Here we are checking B with C and D. If B is bigger than C, you will get a message. B is bigger because A is already skipped, and then B is bigger or not, we are checking. And if B is also not bigger, let's check with C. We already compared C with B and A. Now we have to compare with the D. If here also, if here C is bigger, you will get a message like C is big. Otherwise, finally, D is a bigger one because you no need to check because we are checking D with here, 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 right? So just try this as an assignment, right? So as of now, we have seen only the examples of conditions. We have loops also. We have loops. So these are loops. While loop, for loop, right? So these are loops. Okay, right? So we have loops in the shell scripting. Okay, this is for loop. So this one is trying to print, right, for I in 1000. This is a loop 1 to 10,000. So what here we are doing, basic example is this. So here we are trying to print whatever the message what are the message you want to print, right? Between 1 to 10,000, right? 1 to 1 lakh it is, right? So 1 to 1 lakh will be printed. For example, so let me do one thing. Let me clone this repository. Let me clone these files also. Let me clone it. I will make all these into one repository. I just uploaded, okay, the other files. Okay, that all are updated. I think all are at what place? One place. Okay. Okay, there are multiple, no problem. So yeah, so 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 5 is repeated, no issue. And data types, logical operators, arrays. Yeah, we have seen all these already. Data types we have seen, arithmetics we have seen, variables we have seen, logical operators we have seen, arrays we have seen yesterday, conditions, right? Uh, yeah, we have seen this already. So, right here you're trying to, yesterday we have seen this, right? We are trying to get pass some value, right? If the value is greater than 100, then you will get a message like this. Is not greater than 100, you will get a message like this, right? So you have to pass the value when, so while running, okay, while running. For example, here slash dot 08 conditions, right? So here you need to provide the value while running. For example, 45, right? 45 is not greater than 100. If you provide 145, for example, you'll get a message is greater than 100. So $1 means the first argument we have to provide at the time of running with space. Okay, and this is for installing tree software, right? Some software. Yesterday we have seen. This is if statement related. We have seen already. Functions. Okay, and this is not required. It is a very big one to understand. But yeah, for you here, validator is one of the function. Okay, so here this function result you're trying to check, right? And installing tree. And here you're checking that. So it means you're trying to install tree software. Okay, you're trying to check install the tree software. Okay, if the condition is right, uh, here exit one means your exit out of the loop final directly. Okay, and you're trying to install the package. If you see, for example, let me run that. 10 functions. I can, right? So you already, right, you're trying to install it. Here some conditions you're checking. Okay, so here you are checking few conditions. Okay, here what you're doing, you're using function validate. Okay, $1 is not equal to 0. That means, right? So if you, right, is not equal to 0, the error should be $2 exit 1. Here we are checking ID. whether it is whether it is root user or not. If $id is equal to not equal to 0 means he's not a root user, then you will get a message like you should run as a root user. Okay, and finally you're trying to install tree software. You're trying to install tree software, and you're validating here the previous command output. Okay, the previous command output using this validate means is a function here, and you're checking whether function value is successful, then only the previous command which will get executed. Okay, that is m install tree. Okay, yeah, it is duplicated. That's it. Last two lines. Let me remove it. It's not required. So, and we have few more examples, right? If else if statement we already seen. Logs. So if you want to store the system logs, right? So while installing any package, along with the along with the validate is one of the function. Okay. So what you're doing basically, so after installation, what you're doing, you're trying to store the installation result in a log file. Installation result in a log file. So if you want to use double less thans, double greater thans are helpful to install, right? Store into a file. But $log file, so where it is, you already provided log file is equal to temp location $0, right? And $timestamp dot log file, right? So here you are passing some arguments, right? So like few values and timestamp today date you're getting. If you see, for example, if I execute this line, if you see timestamp, but the date, you're getting the date parameter, right? Time parameter. So date and you're getting the month and time, right? And hour, minutes, and seconds. Let's go back. Yeah, this is for getting the logs and storing into a log file. You can try this, just run as an assignment. So nothing will be uh, right here. Also, you're checking whether you are a root user or not. If you see your ID, right? If your ID is equal to 0, okay, ID hyphen u is 0 means you are a root user. Okay, you are checking the ID here, right? ID hyphen u, right? So and storing in a log file, and this is for checking multiple conditions if else f5. And coming to loops, we have multiple loop functions here. So this is for checking for loop, right? So if your value is in below like within 1 lakh, right? So if you see this, yeah, we need to read this if, right? So you're trying to print complete array of the list, right? You can see. If you want to cancel, use Control C or Control Z. Cancel this. I think this is not the putty session to cancel this. Okay, so let me use refresh this. And we have loops, right? So we have for loop here, also another example. So a simple, it's a loop of values. For example, I kept some values, right? So this is another example. So what we are basically doing here, I have a text file. Let me go to the root user. Let me go to shell scripts. So yeah, here I have a file, opt servers.txt file. Within the file, I have some values. For example, I have some values like some server IP addresses, two server IPs I have. Okay. So what this script will do, it will ping each server for the count of one time. Okay. Server in servers for do, and you're pinging and you're checking your previous command output. Your previous command, that means this one. Dollar question mark is helpful to check the previous command output. Your previous command output is equal to 0, and then, right? That means here you are using if condition. If the valid, right? Echo dollar question mark means previous command output. 0 means valid is equal to 0. If valid is equal to 0, server is up and running. That means you are able to ping. Otherwise, server will be down, right? So just note down this. I will give some 5 minutes. So and then we can execute this one. Okay, just note down. Okay, so yeah, so let's run this. Right, actually, I provided both are not the actual servers; those are just IPs, just normal numbers only. Okay, so it both should show down, right? So let's check that. If you have any running server, right? If you want to keep that IP, you can keep that IP and try that. So yeah, down, right? Because it will fail. Okay, right? So and we have right install packages as such. So here we are trying to install few packages. Okay, so you're trying to right get the timestamp log file, right? You're trying to install the packages, right? So if installation is failed, you will get message like failed. If the installation is successful, you will get a message like successful, right? So you're trying to use for loop, right, to install the software. First, you are checking if you are a root user or not. Else, you will install the software. If other anything is there, it's already installed like that, right? So if you want to execute, let's execute. So yeah, right. So you're getting all the arguments. For example, if you mention arguments like net tools, git, right? So along with this example, 13 hyphen, for example, maven net hyphen tools, right? So your root user first checking. The next checking is trying to create a log file and install the softwares like maven and net tools. Let's wait. Right. So NetTools is already installed. You're getting a message skipped, and Maven is already installed. That's why you're getting a message success. Here you're getting those colors. Okay, like this. Okay. So if you see red color is for this one. Okay, this message will print. These are standard numbers only. Okay. So you're just trying. These are for just getting the colors. Okay. So yeah, your function. You're using that function, right? Validate, right? Otherwise, you trying to skip, right? So just try this, and we have while loop as well. Okay, so this while loop uh, similar like for loop, but here you're checking whether for loop can, right? So for loop for array of things, but here you're just like checking for a condition. If the condition is matched, it will do the things what is there in that particular block. So here what you are doing, you are checking a value, you are reading the a value. If a value is greater than 0, so you will get a reverse of that value. For example, if you mention 10, that means if 10 is greater than 0, you will get a number of 10, 9 up to 0. Okay, if you try this, just execute, right? If you mention 2, right, you will get minus minus. That means the value will be down. Okay, it will go to down values, like if 2 means minus 1 0, like that up to 0. And this is without exit status. So you're trying to set that parameters, and you're trying to print and trying to create a file. So right, you're trying to running a wrong command. Okay, after wrong command, right? So and you're trying to go to temp location. You're trying to go to some CentOS folder location. Let's try that. So if you execute this, simple, you're trying to get a values, right? You're using, right? ll command here, and after that you're using touch command to create example file that is not throwing any error, and you're entering some wrong command, lsfff, right? That is a wrong command. Okay, before executing wrong command, right? So once you execute a wrong command, what will happen? Your script will be get out of the loop because of the reason here, the wrong command. But after wrong command message, did it printed? No, because it is exited here only, right? Is exited here only, right? So to right, it is executed here only. So to avoid those conditions, so we can use loops, right? If you check for previous command output, right? And that's why we are using this right, previous command outputs and checking that. And we have a few more examples. This is a case, and this is delete log files. What we are doing, you're checking this file, right? Uh, right, if this file is there, right? So you're checking the source directory. Okay, there, right? If it is not there, that means store directory is not exist. If right, and files to delete. If the files within that source directory is anything is there, you are trying to delete, right? Maximum 14 days files we are deleting. Okay, before, right? Maximum 14 days, up to 14 days files we are deleting. This is a while loop. Here we are reading each file line, you're storing it, right? So you're getting the values and trying to delete one by one. Okay, one by one. So trying to delete one by one file. So for that you need to have a folder with some different log files to test this. Okay, but the condition is you're checking here whether file is exist or not using not equal. This is exclamation hyphen d. If the folder is there or not, you're checking like this. Okay, and some loops which are case. Yeah, this one case. So here what we are doing basically, you are using while do. You're reading one value from the keyboard and you're checking that value is matched within three conditions. For example, if you read a value hello, for example, let me execute this one, right? If you provide please talk to me, because here you mentioned all please talk to me, and your message is hello, for example, your input string is hello. Okay, hello. What will happen? Hello yourself. Why? Because here you mentioned hello yourself. If you mention bye, means it will message like see you again. And break is a condition which help the statement which helps you to get out of the loop. Your script, right? Script will be executed out of the loop, right? You're out of the script because you mentioned break will get out of the loop. Break will get out of the loop. And if you mention other than hello and bye, it will store say like sorry I didn't understand, right? This is a case statement, this is a break statement, right? Just try this with multiple times as an assignment. We have until loop as well. So the difference between until and while, until will get execute one time, minimum one time. Okay, but the while loop is not like that. While loop should be run once the condition is successful. Until till until can run at least one time. Okay, here the value is I equal to 5. You're trying to get, if I is greater than 15, you're printing a message $I and you're adding one number to that. Okay, and execute. So that means if you execute this until loop, the value is 5, it will get up to, right, greater than 15, but until the condition is successful, right? So it's a just until loop will get executed at least one time. Yeah, this is not required. And yeah, similar to function, you're calling your function. Okay, your function is welcome, your function having this message, right? The function is having this message, and you're just hello courses, and you'll get one by one message. That's it. This is not a big one. So we have one good example here, right? Continue. So what this continue is, so we have set of numbers 1 to 7. We're trying to find which one is even number. So if you want to find out a even number, right? Number in numbers, for each number you are checking whether it is divided by 2 or not. If it is divided by 2, the value is 0. That means it's a even number. Okay, and here continue, because say check for two number and still continue, check for third number and check for fourth number, right? This loop will be till continued once the numbers are completed, and you will get what are the even numbers, what are the odd numbers. Okay, so just try this and just note down in your notes, right? For each shell script it will be better. Okay, and checking your server utilization, disk utilization, how much is utilized in your server. This is one example. These are all you have to practice, right? So in the interviews, if they ask you what are the scripts you have written, you can say disk uses script. So I'm trying to check the disk uses, right? And this is some bigger example, so you have to read it multiple times or write it at least 1 or 2 times. This is continue. This is disk uses. What is this disk uses? Okay, your disk utilization, df-h. Your server is having 8 GB hard disk. If you see, storage storage is 8 GB. Within the 8 GB, how much is used? 23%. That means 1.9 GB is used, right? So 6.2 GB is free, right? So here you're trying to check your disk utilization, and you're putting some threshold one, and you're trying to uh, push nothing into the message as a variable. You're checking, you're reading the line, okay, each line, okay, within this one disk uses file. So after that, what we are doing, we are printing, okay, and checking each partition. So yeah, I will show that later on this one. Okay, so in once in the middle of the any class, this needs some understanding. It's not possible today. Yeah, remaining, this is for greeting, just a greeting message, just good morning, like that. Yeah, remaining all not required. This is for user adding. If you want to add a user in Linux, you have to check some conditions whether you are a root user or not, right? You need to get the username, read the username from keyboard, read the password from keyboard, right? And you are checking whether user is created or not. If user is created already, that means user already exists. You're checking previous command output using dollar question mark. And else you have to create a user, you need to add that. If ID is not equal to 0 means the script will exit from out of the loop using exit message, because only root user can add that. If ID is equal to 0, you will check whether user is there or not. If user is not exist, you will create a user. And this is a, just try this, okay? Just try this as an assignment. These are not required. Yeah, this is for just finding 7 days folder data and deleting. Find using find keyword within this folder. You're checking 7 days older data and using rm command to delete. So I'm checking in var log Apache folder. You can set your folder here. So these are few examples. Okay, and if you want to learn more of shell scripting, you can go for this PDF file. Okay, right. So just try this all as assignment shell script files. So right. So that's about today. So what we will do.